Part 4 C3 Corvette build. Still working on these floor pans. I'm as tired of working on them as you are of hearing about it. So we're gonna finish them up in this part. I'm also gonna work on the rear body mounts and get those complete. Let's go. Alright, we're getting close on the floor pans. Everything's been welded in. I have a little bit of hammer and dolly to do to clean up the seams here in the middle. I've already taken a 120 grit flat disc and removed all of the grayish coating that came on the floor pans. That needs to be removed before coating. Next, I'm going to come in and clean up the bottom of the bird cage. That way I can coat it at the same time. Do some cleaner degreaser, get seam sealer put into all the edges, and then we'll do the coating. Now that the bottom side of the floor pans are ready for coating, I'm going to clean them with a Por 15 cleaner degreaser and then prep them with the metal prep, and then we'll get the coating. With the cleaner degreaser, you spray it on and scrub it just like you would with any other cleaner degreaser. If you remember in an earlier video, I cleaned the whole bottom of the car using purple power, and amazingly, a whole lot more came off using this industrial strength cleaner. Now that that's done, I'll go on to the metal etch, and with the metal etch, you want to keep the surfaces wet for 30 minutes to allow the metal to etch and for it to convert all the rust. As the metal etch works, you can see where I missed removing some of the coating. It's bubbling up and it's eating away that coating that was on there.
Shut up and sit down.
The floor pans are ready to be cleaned and treated before the Por 15 coating. I was trying to figure out how I was going to get all the water out of the floor pan since I have to wash it down with water. So my idea is going to be to use my shop vac. I'll spray water, vacuum it out. We'll see how it goes. Hey, the metal's been cleaned and prepped with metal etch. You'll see it's already starting to rust. This is the point that you don't want to touch it. You don't want to get it dirty. It needs to stay clean. It has to be completely dry though, so I'm going to put a fan in here and let it dry overnight, and then we'll coat it tomorrow. I'm applying the third and last coat, and this coat is the Pour 15 top coat in chassis black. The Pour 15 rust preventive has a really good self-leveling, so you can brush it on with a brush and it'll self-level and be smooth. I found that the top coat is not as good at this, so what I'm doing is I'm brushing it on and then I'm taking a foam brush and going back over it again to smooth it out. It's obvious that the bracket's installed before the rear part of this body's put on, because the rivet that holds on the back of the bracket's behind it, so I'm going to drill a hole so I can get to it.
Romantic, isn't it? Shut up and sit down.
Alright, we're going to get to work on repairing these rear body mounts, as I've shown in previous videos. It's pretty damaged from the mount being rusted out. It allowed it to break the fiberglass. When I fit the new mount, it fits really well, but the holes here didn't line up, so we're going to have to fill those and re-drill those as well. As you can see, I've already ground out and feathered out the fiberglass to get ready to apply new. What I've done is I've made blocks that will go inside of here with wax paper, and I'll put a brick on top of them to hold weight down for when I'm filling. And then I've got this side set up so you can see what I'm going to do to put pressure on the bottom once I get the fiberglass all put in there. Alright, I cleaned out the inside with wax and grease remover. I'm going to take a piece of wax paper, put down in there to keep so it'll separate. And then my little block of wood and a weight. I don't know if you can see it, but I also taped off the holes that I'm going to fill with metal tape as a backing. Alright, mix up your resin in accordance with the instructions, and then we're going to start brushing it on.
Shut up and sit down.
Okay, let's see how it turned out. So that's not too bad. Now I'll fill all the holes in. I think those turned out pretty good. And next, we just have to sand it. I'm working towards finishing up the corrosion treatment on the car on the inside. So inside the bird cage here, it's kind of hard to see, but I can't get there in there to paint that, so I've cleaned it all up on the front A-pillars. I've also cleaned up the back pockets back here. And what I'm going to use is the Eastwood internal frame coating. It comes with this straw so I can feed it up inside the birdcage. So let's get to coating it. Now that the fiberglass is repaired, we got to put the holes back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line the bracket up and trace the hole. I picked a 7/8 hole saw to drill the hole. It's not as big as the hole in the bracket, but the cage nut that goes on top has a hole that's smaller than that, and that's where the bolt's going to go through, so the hole doesn't need to be any bigger than that. And the nut in there won't be able to move around that much anyway. I'm just guessing at the size because the holes were completely destroyed, so I don't know what size the factory holes were. I'm going to be using 3/16 rivets to install this, so I'm going to drill a 3/16 hole.
Shut up and sit down.
I'm just going to eyeball where the nut cage goes, line it up with the hole. From what I could tell, the factory part was recessed a little bit where the rivet heads go. That way they don't interfere with the bracket. So I'm going to take the sander and recess those a little bit.
Shut up and sit down.
So there we go. We want the head of the rivet to be flush with the bottom. That way it doesn't interfere with the bracket when we put it up there. And it's pretty close. All right, we got all the holes drilled. So now what I'm going to do is, and I had already started on this, but we're going to go sandblast all the coating off these. The coating you don't want to leave the coating that comes on them because you don't know if it's a good coating or not. So I'm going to remove that, and then we're going to coat it with Por 15. Same with the cages. And we'll probably just spray the nuts with something. But they come with the aluminum rivets, and I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use steel rivets. One of the problems these cars have is they use the aluminum rivets on steel, which has galvanic corrosion issues. So if I use steel on steel, it'd be less likely to corrode away. Okay, the mount's been fully repaired. I've gone through and I've drilled the holes in there and put all the coatings on it. So now, this nut cage and this nut go inside the car and get riveted into the mount. These cars were put together with aluminum rivets, which I've mentioned it causes a problem against the steel, a galvanic corrosion problem. So I'm using steel rivets everywhere I can, and I am also going to wet install those rivets. I'm going to coat them with a little bit of Por 15 prior to inserting them. You can see I've coated it black. And then I will paint over the head to try to keep them from corroding. Last steps to install the mount. I'm also going to use steel rivets where I can. On this side though, there's not enough room to get that big gun in there, and the little rivet guns can't handle a steel 3/16 rivet, so I'm going to have to use aluminum, and I'll install those as well. No one is more excited than I am to say that this part is done. I am tired of working on floor pans, but we're going to call this job complete for now. As you can see, it's all coated. Also, as shown, we got the rear body mounts repaired. We got the inside finished as well. Everything has been seam sealed and coated. And while I was at it, I went ahead and got the bar up in the nose completely treated, and I went ahead and painted the entire, for the most part, the entire engine compartment. So it's looking pretty good. Came out okay. Not perfect, but it'll do. So now that all that's done, I think we can move on to something that's actually fun, like wiring. See you next time.